Hello and welcome friends. This particular module is based on operation, design and component detailing of electrostatic precipitator. In this particular presentation, we will discuss about the process description of ESP, their classification, its principle of working, concept of drift velocity, efficiency of ESP, limitation of Deutsch-Anderson equation and suggested modifications, as well effect of resistivity on the efficiency of ESP. As you learn the content, you will be able to explain principle of working of electrostatic precipitator. You will be able to explain the types of ESP and also determine and discuss factors affecting the efficiency. Already you have got acquainted with the gravity settlers as well as cyclone, that is centrifugal separator. These particular devices have got certain limitation that they are unable to catch the particles which are less than 5 micron. Hence, we have to have some powerful means which will be able to work and will be able to catch the finer particles than these 5 micron. Electrostatic precipitator is such a device which employs the electrostatic force in order to catch that particular particles. This particular device employs 4 steps. In the first step, the particles are charged. In the second step, the electrical field is created in order to separate the particles from the gas flow. Third step is neutralization of the charge on the collector, and the fourth step is removing the collected particles by certain mechanism such as wrapping, washing or gravity for disposal. There are 4 basic types of ESPs. First one is plate and wire, which acts in the dry mode. Second is flat plate, which also acts in the dry mode. Third one is wet precipitator, and fourth one is 2-stage precipitator. This ESP classification is based on certain distinguishing features as per their design. These features are the structural design and operation of the discharge electrodes and also the collection electrodes. So the discharge electrodes could be rigid frame, it could be wire or also a plate, and collection electrode could be a tubular or it could also be a plate. The second feature could be the method of charging. That is, in a single setup, all the 4 steps that we discussed could happen, or otherwise there could be 2 steps in which the charging and separation would be taking place one after other. The third feature is the temperature of the operation. It can also be said as the disposition of the ESP with respect to the boiler's position or say preheater's position. And fourth mechanism is the method of the particle removal from collection surfaces, so as to say it could be wet, that is say water could be employed in order to remove the deposition of the particulate, or dry, that is the deposited layer could be simply removed by scraping or by using some mechanism so that it will be getting separated from the plate on which it is deposited. Let's get acquainted with the types that we try to discuss. Here the first configuration is of tubular ESP. As you see, it consists of cylindrical collection electrodes with discharge electrode placed centrally in the form of wire. Here the dirty gas, dust laden gas, enters from the top. It is getting ionized and the particulate matter is deposited on the inner surface, whereas the clean gas leaves from the bottom. Here, if it is running in the wet mode, water can be simply sprinkled within this particular tubular structure so that the particulate which is deposited on the inner face will simply be washed, and accordingly it would be removed out of that particular collection electrode. The second one is plate ESP. Usually this is certain dry combination. So dirty gas flows from one end as it is getting ionized because of this charging electrode. The dust is collected on these particular surfaces and accordingly the clean gas leaves the surface. The third configuration is of two-stage ESP. As you see, here there is one ionizing stage, whereas the second stage is meant for the particulate collection. So here ESP has separate particle charging and collection stages. The ionizing stage consists of series of small positively charged wires equally spaced 2.5 to 5 cm from parallel grounded tubes or rods. A corona discharge between each wire and corresponding tube charges the particles suspended in the airflow as they pass through the ionizer. The second stage consists of parallel plates less than 2.5 cm apart. The particles receive the positive charge in the ionizer and are collected at the negative plates in the second stage. This is another configuration which are grouped according to the temperature of the flue gas that enters the ESP. The first one is cold side ESPs, which are used for the flue gas which are having the temperature approximately 204 degrees centigrade or less. Whereas the second one is hot side ESP, which is employed in order to deal with the gas having the temperature greater than 300 degrees centigrade. These cold side ESPs are located after the air preheater, whereas this hot side is a configuration in which ESP is fitted previous to this APH. This plate type wet ESP is equipped with the collection electrodes which are in the form of plates. The sprays are located in the ducts formed by adjusting collected electrodes serve to clean or wash that particular plates. These are often supplemented by overhead sprays to ensure that the entire plate surface is irrigated, that is cleaned totally. The design of such precipitator is similar to that of conventional systems except for means of keeping these particular insulators dry, measures to minimize the corrosion, and also the provisions for removing the slurry. This particular cut section elaborates the actual arrangement of the plates as well as these particular water manifolds, the gas inlet as well as gas outlet, certain discharging electrodes, the position of the vertical plates, the diffusers, and accordingly. This is circular plate wet wall type ESP. It is essentially for liquid droplets and mist. From the upper end of the tubular collection electrodes, water flows inside to wet the collection surface. The collecting electrode becomes coated with water film. The particulate matter collected is discharged along with the collecting electrode washing liquid. Hence, here the water collected will be simply wastewater and it needs further treatment in order to have the recovery of the solids dissolved, as well as even after the treatment the same quantity of the water can also be circulated within the system. This is showing the typical arrangement of dry electrostatic precipitator. So as you see here, this particular cut section is showing the vertical wires which are discharging electrodes, whereas all that particular plates which are placed on the either side of these particular suspended wires as collection plates. At the bottom what you see is nothing but the hoppers in order to have the solids collected after they are removed from that particular vertical plates. These are certain, say, electrical arrangements in order to establish the required controls over these particular compartments. As we have seen the arrangement for the dry ESP, we will continue the discussion in order to understand the working principle better. Here, as we saw on the earlier slide, there is certain suspender which is providing these particular vertical discharging electrodes placed centrally in between these dust collection plates. The distance between these two collection plates is 2h, whereas the length of each plate is capital L. The height of that particular plate is small h. As such, the collection area provided is L by h, whereas here this area in the form of inlet for the gas is 2h into h. Here the process of this electrostatic precipitator basically consists of passing this dust laden gas through this particular conduit or tunnel in which this high DC field is maintained. Here the cross-sectional top view is shown in this particular sketch. The vertical black dots as shown are representing certain discharge electrodes, as well as here, as you see, these particular two parallel broad lines are representing the collection electrodes. Gas enters from this particular left side, and accordingly after the cleaning process it leaves this particular passage from the right side. As you see here, these wires are discharge electrodes which are charged to certain highest voltage so that it will be creating the electrical field in between this wire and the field. Any stray electron which is entering in this particular stream will be getting charged as it is experiencing the electrical field in between this particular plate and the wire. It will accelerate and it will attain very high velocity. As it attains the high velocity, it encounters the gas molecule, and as the collision occurs, this gas molecule is further ionized and it lets out further electrons. As these electrons keep on moving towards the plate, being grounded as they are neutral in nature, so accordingly here these particular electrons, as they keep on moving towards this particular plate, as they encounter the various gas molecules, the ionization will take place and it will be to such an extent so that it is getting experience of that particular electrical field. Till then, it develops some glowing field if seen in the dark, and that is termed to be corona. Whereas, as it leaves this, it won't be having the influence of the electrical field, and electrons will simply be moving towards these particular grounding plates. As they keep on moving, whatever the particulate they come across, they will be catching that particular particulate, and this particular particulate will be, as they move with the electron, they will be also getting deposited over this particular surface. During the gas ionization, as the gas molecule is ionized, this positive charge as are developed will be simply getting neutralized on this particular wire, whereas the negatively charged would pass towards these particular plates. The gaseous ions, as they charge the suspended dust particles in the neighborhood either by collision of the particles greater than 1 micron or the finer by deposits, finer by diffusion. In an ESP, a particle is subjected to gravitational force, drag force, and the electrical field force. The field force would attract the particle towards the collector, whereas the drag force would resist its motion towards the collector. The resultant force would cause the particle to move towards the collector at some velocity, which is termed as drift velocity. The magnitude of this particular drift velocity would depend on the mode of the particle charging, the particle size, the velocity of the gas, the field strength, and also the particle resistivity. The drift velocity of the particle charged by the bombardment is 3.694 into 10 to minus 6 E square P dP by mu. Whereas the drift velocity of the particle charged by the diffusion is 3.097 into 10 to minus 4 km E divided by mu. Here, this UP is the drift velocity of the particle having diameter dp expressed in meter per second. The capital E is field strength. Capital P is 3 epsilon by epsilon plus 2, where this epsilon is dielectric constant. Mu is the gas viscosity in centipoise, and Km is Cunningham's factor. As you see here, the drift velocity could be varying according to the various applications as shown in this particular table. Also, the various manufacturers as well as the people who are working in the field will be choosing that kind of the drift velocity based on their particular experience, best instead of relying on theoretical grounds. Let's try to understand about the efficiency expression for ESP. For a particle which is having the diameter greater than 0.15 micron, the dominant charging mechanism is field charging. As the particle experiences the electrical strength, it keeps on charging. The charge grows with the time. However, after attaining the field charging, the particle won't remain in the contact with the charging electron, but it reaches certain steady state value which is expressed as Q. So this Q is equal to 3 pi epsilon by epsilon plus 2 into epsilon naught into d square into E naught. Here this epsilon is the dielectric constant, Q is the charge on the particle, E naught is the local field strength at the time of the charging, epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space, and d is the diameter of the particle. As we consider the particle which is having the size less than 0.15 micron, it won't be experiencing simply the field charging, but one has to consider the additional charge due to the diffusion, which is resulted due to the particle electron collisions caused by random motion of the particles in addition to the motion of the electron in the electrical field, and hence making the electron behaving like gas molecule. Hence, this F, which is electrostatic force on the particle, can be expressed as Q times EP. Now as you see here, this E naught is the local field strength at the time of the charging, whereas EP is the local field strength. For all practical purposes, we can consider this E naught is equal to EP is equal to E, which say the average of E naught and EP, and hence we can consider this E naught into EP as E square. Further, this EP, which is the local electrical field strength, it is nothing but the delta V by delta X, that is the voltage in between both the electrodes and divided by the distance in between. So as we set this electrostatic force equal to drag force, which was worked out while devising the Stokes expression and was given as Fd is equal to 3 pi mu dV, and as we solve for the resulting velocity, which is Vt, we get the expression for this particular drift velocity. The terminal settling velocity, as is determined, it can be represented by this particular equation. For the electrostatic precipitators, this terminal settling velocity is expressed as W, which is nothing but drift velocity. Also, as we had the discussion for the gravity settling chamber as well as the centrifugal based device like cyclone, we devised the expression that fraction captured can be given by eta in terms of LVT divided by H into V average. In case of this ESP, as we discussed about the constructional aspects, the collection area of a plate is LH, whereas the volumetric flow can be given by Q in terms of the H into the average gas velocity. Hence, this L by H can be given as A into V average by Q. As we substitute these in this efficiency equation, and as we substitute this particular Vt term in terms of the drift velocity for a block flow, the efficiency equation can be given as this Wa by Q. For mixed flow, this equation can be given as 1 minus e raised to minus Wa by Q. This expression is called as Disch-Anderson equation. Now, as we see this drift velocity equation, the velocity is proportional to the diameter of the particle. Hence, coarser the particle, higher will be the drift velocity. Also, as you see, this drift velocity is proportional to the field strength square. Hence, as the field strength is increased, one should be able to have unlimited increase in this particular drift velocity. However, practically, the conduction path in the ionized gas will be formed between the discharging electrode and the collecting plate. This ionized path forms continuous sparks. So, these continuous sparks equivalent to the light stroke may cause the burnout, and also it disturbs the cake of the particulate that is deposited on the plate, which would be simply getting removed, and it will cause the re-entrainment of that particular particulate. Hence, this current needs to be shut off for a fraction of the time, and then again the field is established. So, as E is raised, this spark frequency is increased. If this E is reduced to 0, it will cause the sparks to eliminate. However, if this ionization path is not developed to the required extent, the particulate deposition won't take place. Hence, it would hamper the particulate collection efficiency. Hence, ESP is designed to have 50 to 100 sparks per minute, which are set as some kind of golden beam. Furthermore, this power supply is so subdivided that only portion of the entire ESP will be shut down in cyclic manner in order to neutralize the spark that is causing because of the field strength. On the last slides, we have deduced this particular Anderson equation. This equation has been used over the years to calculate the theoretical collection efficiencies. However, as this particular equation has got some limitations, as it is not attending some of the process descriptions, the efficiency obtained is quite approximate one. This equation neglects three significant process variables. First, it completely ignores the fact that dust re-entrainment which may occur during the wrapping process. Secondly, it assumes that the particle size and hence the migration velocity are uniform for all the particles in the gas stream. As stated previously, this is not true, because as this drift velocity is more for the larger particles, it won't be valid to presume that the migration velocity is uniform. Thirdly, it assumes that the gas flow rate is uniform everywhere across the precipitator, and the escape of the particle from the capture through this hopper section won't occur. In fact, this particle escape capture, which is termed as leakage, can occur when flue gas flows down through the hopper section instead of through the ESP chambers or tunnel or duct, thus preventing the particles from being subjected to the electrical field. Thus, this particular equation can be used just for the preliminary estimation of the efficiency and not the realistic value. Hence, certain modifications are suggested for this equation. More accurate estimates of this particular collection efficiency can be obtained by applying these modifications. So, here the first modification suggested is substituting the effective precipitation rate in the form of effective migration velocity, which is calculated from the field experience instead of simply relying on the theoretical value. So, in place of this particular migration velocity in the expression put up as W, here it is put up as WE, and accordingly there will be change in expression. Also, this theoretically collected efficiency can be corrected by certain factor K, which is given by maths on field. So accordingly, here the change in expression can be this. So it is incorporating the average migration velocity, which is obtained from the field for similar installations. This K is a constant, usually 0.4 to 0.6, which considers this particular particle size distribution as well as other dust properties. So these calculations are used in establishing preliminary design parameters of ESPs. As we discussed previously, as compared to gravity settler, cyclone is better option. However, it also has got certain limitations when it is expected to work with finer particles. So let's have the comparison of this particular ESP and the cyclone for similar situation. So if we consider the same diameter particle, the drift velocity is almost 5 times greater than the terminal settling velocity for that particular particle in cyclone separator. On the other hand, the efficiency for this particular ESP is very high. As we discussed about the cyclone, the terminal settling velocity was given by WVI divided by pi dn. Here, this terminal settling velocity is function of inlet gas velocity, which is average gas velocity. Here, the residence time for the particle is quite small. Whereas, as we consider the case of ESP, this Vt is independent of average velocity of the gas. And also, the particle spends a relatively quite longer time in ESPs. As we discussed earlier, for cyclones, the average gas velocities are maintained to be 18 to 20 meters per second, and particle spends around 0.5 second time in cyclone, whereas typically in ESP, the average gas velocity is 0.9 to 1.5 meter per second, and the gas spends 3 to 10 seconds in the tunnel. So typical cyclone has cut diameter of 5 micron as against the 0.5 micron for ESP. As we make use of this efficiency equation, and as we take into account the fixed sulfur content that is present in the coal, the experimental data for these fixed sulfur content fall on a straight line as shown in this particular graph. So the different lines for the different coal sulfur content are due to sulfur's indirect effect on fly ash resistivity. You already know that this resistivity is a resistance to conduct the electricity. These ESPs work well with medium resistivity solids. These are used to collect the particles with medium resistance having the value 10⁻⁷ to 10⁻⁻10 ohm centimeter. So as we move ahead with the concept of this particular resistivity, we'll discuss about the normal, high as well as low resistivity which applies to the ESPs operated in the dry state. Needless to say, this resistivity is not an issue as far as operation of wet ESPs because of the presence of the moisture in the ESP. So this resistivity is characteristic of a particle in an electrical field. It is a measure of particle's resistance to transferring charge, could be both accepting as well as giving up. It is function of the particle chemical composition as well as flue gas operating conditions such as temperature and moisture. The electrical resistance of the dust sample 1 centimeter square in cross sectional area, 1 centimeter thick, and it is recorded in units of ohm centimeter. So this resistivity of a particle can be expressed to be high, normal, or this low. In an ASP, where particle charging and discharging are the key functions, the resistivity is an important factor that significantly affects the collection efficiency. While resistivity is an important phenomenon in the inter-electrode region where most particles charging take place, it has a particularly important effect on the dust layer at the collection electrode where discharging occurs. The particles that exhibit high resistivity are difficult to charge, but once charged, they do not readily give up their acquired charge on arrival at the collection electrode. Whereas the particles with the low resistivity easily become charged and readily release their charge to the grounded collection plate. These both extremes of having the high resistivity and having the low resistivity interfere the efficient functioning of the ESPs. The ASPs are expected to work under the normal resistivity range, which is given by 10⁻⁷ to 10⁻⁻10 ohm per centimeter, whereas 10⁻⁴ to 10⁻⁷ ohm centimeter is low resistivity range and 10⁻⁻10 to 10⁻⁴ is high resistivity range. Now let's try to understand the relation between the voltage gradient and this particular collection. As shown in the figure, this is the position of the discharging electrode in the form of wire. This is the position of the plate at which the particles are expected to be deposited in the form of cake. As this cake goes on building, accordingly it would attain some depth of cake. So at this collection plate, the voltage is 0, whereas at this particular outer surface of this particular dust surface, the electrostatic voltage can be quite high. Thus, over this particular depth of the cake, there is a formation of voltage gradient. So, the strength of the electric field depends on the resistivity and the thickness of this cake. Let's consider 3 different cases. The first one is showing the cake which is good conductor of the electricity. That is, the resistivity is quite low. Here, the potential difference between the surface of the cake and the collection plate would be small, and hence the particles are discharged and back to gas flow. As they are back to gas flow, they do not adhere properly on the collection plate, and hence the collection is poor. As we consider the extreme other case, in case of high resistivity particles, here there is a very high voltage gradient through this particular cake. Here, this voltage gradient is so low near to the wire to produce the good corona discharge, and thus the particles are not properly charged. The potential difference inside the cake is very high to cause these electrons to accelerate within the cake and knock off the electrons of the gas molecules which are entrapped in this particular dust cake. So as they are knocked off, they create the condition very similar to the one which was created at the discharge electrode, and these particular electrons, after the ionization of the gases, may cause the development of the corona and hence the release of the electrons and the further movement of that particular electrons and these particular positive ions towards the discharge electrode. Hence, there is a formation of back corona within the cake, and which will blow off the particles which are deposited here, thus making the collection difficult. Hence, for ESPs, the medium resistivity ash is favorable situation. Here, the potential difference is adequate to hold the cake. Also, it allows the particulate layer to be built up and hence dislodge easily from the plates by wrapping. So this high resistivity needs to be reduced in order to improve the performance of ESP. The most common problem with the high resistivity is increased electrical sparking. When the sparking rate exceeds the set spark limit, the automatic controllers limit the operating voltage of the field, which causes reduced particle charging and hence the reduced migration velocity towards the collection electrode. This high resistivity can be reduced by adjusting the temperature, increasing the moisture content, adding the conditioning agent to the gas stream, increasing the collection surface area, and occasionally employing the hot side precipitators in order to reduce the resistivity. So far, we have discussed certain theoretical concepts as far as electrostatic precipitator is concerned. So in order to understand the applicability of the various expressions that we deduced, let's try to understand some of the numerical solutions. Here, for this given data, we can make use of the expression that we have deduced for the drift velocity. As we substitute the data and as we balance the units, here the drift velocity can be worked out as 0.033 meter per second. You may need the conversion of 1 kg meter per second square meter in the terms of Coulomb Volt. In this particular problem, based on the given data, we have worked out this drift velocity very similar to problem number 1 as 0.034 meter per second. As we have to work out the length of the plate, in order to have the 100% collection efficiency, the design must satisfy that the time taken by a particle to travel up to the plate from the wire must be equal or less than the particulate matter which would take the time in order to travel through the conduit from the inlet point to exit, that is the entire length of the plate. So here, as we balance this, what we want to work out is L, and it comes to be 5.07 meters. Here, we wish to work out the number of plates for the given data. By this time, you are quite conversant with this efficiency equation. Hence, for given efficiency and other data, as we solve for A, we get 70,000 square meters. In order to work out the number of plates, this total area is divided by the area of a plate, which is 50 square meter here. And as such, the number of the plates comes to be 1,400 numbers. This is a typical problem which is asking us, in order to determine the effect on the collection efficiency, if the specific collection area is enhanced. Here we must understand and recall the term specific collection area, which is a measure of the total surface area of all collecting plates divided by volumetric flow of the flue gas. Hence, for given condition, we have the value of eta, we have the value of A by Q. So, for the given data, we can determine the drift velocity. Now, the specific collection area, which is nothing but A by Q, is increased to 0.4. So as we substitute that and as we have the drift velocity value worked out in the first step of the solution, we'll be able to work out this revised eta, and it comes to be 99%. So far, we have discussed about various particulate control devices. So we have discussed about the gravity settler, some of the significant points related with each of these particulate control devices. Let's have the review. This gravity settler has got low initial cost. It's very easy and inexpensive to operate. This particular equipment is used as pre-cleaner as far as the first step of dust control is concerned. This particular equipment will help us to reduce the maintenance cost which could be caused for high efficiency control equipment if they are to subject to certain particulate which may be having abrasive nature and hence which may cause the deterioration of high-end control equipment. Equipment is very sturdy. It can withstand the high gas temperature, also the corrosive environment, as well as the particles which are abrasive in nature. The drawback of this particular equipment is it consumes more space. It does not have high efficiency for the particulate which are finer in nature. This cyclone is also very important equipment as far as particulate control devices are concerned. It can be employed for the particulate matter which is coarser in size, say having the size greater than 5 micron. As well, it can be employed when the particulate concentration is high and when we are not expecting the percentage finer to be removed out of the system. In this particular presentation itself, we have discussed many features about the electrostatic precipitator. As we discussed, this is very versatile equipment and it can be employed for removal of the particulate which is even less than 5 micron. As well, there are many configurations which can be customized according to the requirement in order to focus on the removal of the specific size of the as well as specific nature particulate with very high efficiency. This is beneficial when the gas volume to be handled is voluminous, as well as even during the circumstances at which certain material needs to be recovered. This scrubber is very, again, versatile equipment which can be used in order to remove the fine particulate matter as well. It is advantageous in one situation that this can handle the waste gases which are very hot as well as flammable in nature. As well, along with the particulate matter, these scrubbers help in order to remove even the gaseous matter. Baghouses are also peculiar in nature that can be employed when the high efficiency is required. It can be employed when the gas is above its dew point. The volume to be treated is low. The temperature is not too high. And one of the most important requirements is the waste gas that to be handled should not be harmful to the bags which are used in order to remove the particulate matter. So I hope the concepts that we try to discuss for the various control equipment as far as particulate removal is concerned are clear to you. So thanks for your attention. In the coming presentation, we'll discuss about control of gaseous pollutants. So bye till then. I wish you very happy learning. Thank you.